I'm Clever Ghoul, but you can call me Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry if I seem a little down energy-wise. I've had a really difficult week. I had to say goodbye to my dog of 17 years, and I'm pretty gutted. But I'm trying my best this week because she would want me to keep going, so here we are. I really love haunted imagery. As you may know, last year I made this haunted mirror. I'll link the tutorial below if you want to try that out. And I love that subtly haunted decor sort of style where you think something's maybe watching you. So this week I set out to make that a reality. So essentially we're going to take a painting and make its eyes follow you. This is a really easy project, but the hardest part is waiting for the holographic eyes to come in the mail so that you can get started. But once you have them, it's really only going to take you about an hour or so to do this project. So with all that being said, let's get into it. For materials, you'll need the following: a painting or poster. I ended up using this painting of Medusa by Franz Stuck from the 1890s. You will need 2 of these, and I recommend getting them printed at a local print shop on a matte cardstock to the same size of your frame. A picture frame, mine is 8 by 10. Mod Podge, I tried both glossy and matte, and I preferred the matte finish. A paintbrush, an X-Acto knife, holographic eye cabochons. I got mine from Steampunk Dream on Etsy, and I'll link them below. They have so many amazing options, and I would definitely use them again, so check them out. Acrylic paint in a color that blends into the eye area of the painting. I used deep gray. Tacky glue or double-sided tape. I ended up using B7000 here because it's what I had on hand, but that may have been overkill. First, get 2 of your image printed out on matte cardstock to the size or close to the size of your frame. Next, measure the eyes on your portrait and then purchase the holographic eyes in the size that will be most compatible. For my painting, I needed a 13mm by 18mm size. These come in a variety of colors. I chose blue since it matched the original painting, but you should choose what works for yours. Then, order them and wait for them to arrive before you get started. The next step is to carefully trim down your art to the size of your frame. I always cut a little less off and just double check it fits. Next, pull out your Mod Podge and with a dry paintbrush, make strokes across the painting. Basically, just adding in texture to make this feel like a real painting. I tried the glossy glue first and didn't like how it looked. I also kept getting these circles as it was trying to dry, but as I added in more glue, they smoothed out. I switched to matte Mod Podge and I liked how that applied better. But this is really personal preference and it's up to you. I would do a few streaks, speed up the drawing with a hairdryer, and then repeat until I felt there was enough texture. Once fully dry, I placed the holographic eyes down, marked where they sat, and carefully cut out the eyes with an X-Acto knife. I kept putting the eyes under the painting just to see how everything was fitting. Make sure to go slowly here, and remember that you can cut more out, but you can't put it back if you cut too much. Once I cut enough, I was bothered by the white edges of the cardstock peeking through, so I took out some deep gray acrylic paint and very lightly applied it along those areas. I'd use a color that blends into whatever painting you choose, and this one just happened to work for mine. Then I pulled out my B7000 and glued the holographic eyes down to that second painting. I think tacky glue or double-sided tape would work fine here, but I didn't have any on hand and I wanted thinner glue to reduce bulk. Then I left those to dry. Once those were set, I did some last-minute trimming to make sure my paintings would fit in the frame. And since I wanted this to look more like a framed painting without any glass in front of it, I popped out that piece of glass and then placed my painting inside. First the piece with the cutout eyes, and then the one with the eyes glued down behind it, making sure everything was lined up before closing it up. Which means it's time for the reveal. Here it is. I really love the idea of a painting's eyes following you, especially for Halloween. It's just so creepy, but I also love how subtle this actually is. You may walk by it or have to do a double take to really catch that the eyes are moving, and I think the movement paired with the chilling vibe of the painting really makes this a success. The best part of this is how easy and relatively inexpensive it is. The most expensive part is the eyes, which cost me about $13 with shipping costs. I think you could always thrift a frame as well, which would really take the cost down. And I really do think anyone could do this project. You really only have to be careful with the X-Acto knife and removing the glass from the frame, so beware of that if you want to do this with kids. This is such a customizable project too. You could even do this with your own family photos or use it as an excuse to get dressed up and take some creepy photos for an extra element of surprise. Overall, I'm really happy with it and I can't wait to display it with the rest of my Halloween decor. If you were going to do this at home, how would you do it? Would you use a painting? Would you do photos, family photos? Would you take new photos? Maybe even use a painting of an animal. There are some pretty cool animal eyes in that shop, so that's something to consider as well. That could be creepy. But I would love to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!